Tasmania's water consumption and its effects on crop production will come under expert scrutiny at a two-day seminar in Hobart this weekend. The conference, organised by the non-political group Future Tasmania, will feature Labor, Liberal and Green speakers, as well as climate experts from around Australia. One of the topics for discussion, the spread of timber plantations.
We're losing our ability to produce food, and we're replacing it with plantations which we can't eat and which are compromising our water future.
Seminar organisers say that given the interest from the government and opposition parties, the consequences of wasting water will be made clear to decision makers.
I think it's fantastic to get opinions from all sides of the spectrum, including audience participation, because a lot of members of the lay community have interesting input as well.
The seminar will be held at the University of Tasmania.
The Federal Treasurer is being called on to scrap the system giving tax breaks to investors in tree plantations as a matter of urgency. A conference looking at agriculture and forestry in Tasmania has heard how managed investment schemes are ruining Australia's farming communities.
Australia's plantations are worth $1.4 billion and fuelled by schemes which give investors tax breaks. Sustainable Agricultural Communities Australia says the schemes distort markets and the net result will be oversupply.
They don't realise that we have blue gum plantations in South America that make Australia's look paltry, nor do they realise that by the time Tasmania's harvests start coming online in 2010, the wood chip supply in Australia will multiply by a factor of 7.
Any money that does come in from the trees goes somewhere else, so the whole community dies, the jobs go, the biodiversity goes.
The Federal Cabinet has yet to reach a decision on the future of managed investment schemes. Some in the government are calling them tax rorts. Other ministers believe the schemes are a legitimate way to encourage investment in a range of rural industries, including forestry. The Treasurer, Peter Costello, has been in talks with the industry about possible changes.
I think they're trying to land this disaster on the tarmac with a minimum of casualties. What I'd say to him is he needs to speed this up quick.
A spokesman for the Forestry Minister, Erica Betts, says forestry investment schemes revive declining rural communities. Susan Browning, ABC News.
A lecture theatre is a long way from the troubles on the land, but those at the Tasmanian Futures Conference are hoping this talkfest will produce some action. Water management critical, according to experts, who say people are deluding themselves if they try to ignore it.
If you put those two things together, an increasing demand and a decreasing input, it's a collision course.
He says with climate change taking hold, we need to reassess our priorities to find the best use for water resources. Governments urge to take the lead.
Have some central authority that can say, well, this is what's available in this catchment. You lot in that catchment are going to have to get together and decide what you're going to do with your share of the water.
The state government says its ministerial water and sewage task force will look at better ways to manage the limited resource. The opposition wants more done to help store it.
It's just simply too hard and expensive to build farm dams and large major water infrastructure projects, and it should not be hard. We must make it easier to get these water development proposals up and running.
The drought, combining with rising fuel prices and a loss of markets to increase pressure on farmers to find new ways of doing business to improve their bottom line.
So that if groups of farmers can get together and work cooperatively, they market cooperatively, they purchase cooperatively and whatever, then that's a viable business model.
Amanda Ali, Southern Cross News.
Beekeepers are stepping up their campaign for a temporary ban on the clear felling of leatherwood-rich forest coops in Tasmania's south. The industry has appealed directly to the Premier in its submission to a review of the Forest Practices Code.
Hedley Hoskinson's been a beekeeper for half a century. Today he told a Forest Futures conference in Hobart the industry's going backwards because of declining access to leatherwood trees. He says one beekeeper's been forced to leave fewer bees at a southern apiary site.
Clear felling and burning had actually taken, as far as he knew, all of the leatherwood from that site, and when he went back to pick them up, they had died with starvation.
The industry lobby group's submission to the Forest Practices Code review seeks a temporary moratorium on the clear felling of leatherwood-rich coops. The President, Bob Davey, says he understands that would affect some timber operations and workers.
They'd actually have to go looking for non-leatherwood rich coops and perhaps even putting some roading in. That would cost money, but it will protect the future for beekeepers and horticulturalists.
There's no shortage of leatherwood, believe you me. The problem is the access to it, and we provide them access into these leatherwood-rich coops using our forestry roads.
But beekeepers warn they're barely keeping pace with the demand for pollination.
But there's vast amounts of plantings of cherries and apricots and vegetable seed, and it's as the mainland dries up, we're going to be asked to grow more and more and more.
They don't have to rely on leatherwood either to keep their bees healthy for pollinating. They could feed them a sugar solution. So it's not just leatherwood they need. There are other options.
The Premier's also been asked to enshrine the protection of leatherwood trees in legislation. Susan Browning, ABC News.